When I met Ed and I learned about what he had done and what he has created, I believed very quickly that this was going to be the next right vehicle at the right time. And here's the reason why. The middle class has been crushed over the last 15 years, and he developed a system to level the playing field for the average investor. According to Bloomberg, 70% of mutual funds lost money in 2011, and that's where the vast majority of the middle class wealth is in this country. And when you think about the last 15 years, I think about the telecom bubble, the tech bubble, the housing bubble, the Great Recession. The middle class investor has been annihilated over the last 15 years. They've lost confidence in the stock market. So, they're starting to understand that the buy and hold model doesn't work like it did for previous generations, where you could invest in a company and grow with it over time, and when you're ready to retire, your money grew over 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So today, the buy and hold model has really let us down over the last 15 years. The people are ready. They've become discouraged, and they're ready to, plug into a system where they can actually have some hope. They're looking for answers because we have an aging population in this country, and the folks, they need to grow their savings because there's no way the government's going to be able to take care of them when they get older. So we are primed for a paradigm shift in this industry. So we are primed. Ed didn't realize, when he did it, but he pioneered an industry. It's very exciting for all of us who are marketers to get involved with an amazing product that levels the playing field for the average investor. With this product that he's rolled out, the middle-class investor can now leverage technology and use a system that will go both long and short, that has the ability to make money as the stock market's going up and make money as the stock market's going down. What a great tool. So this is a form of artificial intelligence, and not sure how many of you are familiar with artificial intelligence, but how great is it to be able to select a strategy and let the system do all the work for you. We all have very, very busy lives, and nobody has time, and many people don't have the education to be able to actively trade the stocks. But industry experts said that this could never be done. It was too complicated. The stock market, no one could fully automate the stock market and create a system that will make all the decisions for you. But 5 million lines of code later, he released this to the public. We've got 12 years of development, $10 million in development costs. This is, it is recognized today as the only fully automated system available to the general public that does not require any programming. So it literally turns itself on in the morning, trades the stock market all day, and shuts itself off at the end of the day. And it will do that continuously as long as you have power and internet. So it really is an amazing technology. So what I'd like to do, I'll run through this slide quick for you, and then I'm going to introduce you to a very good friend of mine and a very special individual that we're all lucky to have an opportunity to share a little time with him. Chris Throop, senior VP at Merrill Lynch, he hailed Pool Trade as the real McCoy available to the public. These brokers that you're probably looking at on the screen here, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, Options House, MB Trading, Interactive Brokers, Trade King, FXCM, they all contacted Mr. Marsano at different times over the last 10 years, and they said, we've been trying to develop this technology and we can't believe you've done it. Will you hook this up to us so that our users, our clients will have access to this technology? And he automated each one of them. These are not competitors of ours, folks. These are broker partners, and great broker partners that understand that this technology works. Been partners with TD Ameritrade since 2006, Interactive Brokers since 2003. They are not selling the product to anyone else. Pool Trader Pro is going to be the only one now selling this system. Pool Trade is available. We have 14,000 users in 40 countries right now, and we are moving all of the marketing over to Pool Trader Pro. So this is a really exciting opportunity to share this with your friends and your neighbors and your family. And really, our mission is very simple: to restore confidence to the middle-class investor. You know, we want to bring them back into the stock market and actually give them a tool that will give them the confidence to be successful. So with that, folks, I'd like to introduce you now to a very good friend of mine, Mr. Ed Barsano. Come on in, Ed.
Wow, Nick. I mean, I'm amazed that you guys, all the wonderful things you guys say about me, and it's unbelievably true. So I'm kidding. You guys are absolutely great. You know, I've never had any partners in 12 years until I met Nick and Carrie a few years ago when I was presenting in front of about 100 people. I watched Nick. He was sitting up in the audience. I mean, I didn't notice him at first, but then I saw in the middle of my presentation, I saw him get up from where he was sitting, and then he came all the way down to the first row and got right in front of me. And then after the show was over, he came up, you know, and he's like, this is real. This sounds really real, and I want to be part of this. And really, it's history from there. And what was wonderful, though, was really great, is for 12 years, I've been developing this software myself, doing all the sales, the marketing, the development, the support, everything. I've done, you know, at least 20 trade shows all over, you know, Vegas, New York, Anaheim, and, you know, the New York Trader Expos, those kind of things. And, you know, it's tough when you're doing a lot of stuff all by yourself, you know, and then, you know, then the brokers contacted me and said, hey, will you hook it up to us? So, you know, it really helped when these guys came on board, you know, and they said, hey, we're going to handle all the sales and the support. And there's not really a lot of support required. I mean, you're going to install the software and turn it on, and it's going to trade the market, you know, and really there's very little more involved that you have to do. And, you know, I created the software because I wanted to use it, and I wanted to, you know, even though I'm a programmer, when you take off that programmer, when you put on, let me just say, when you put on your stock trading hat and you want to start thinking about the stock market, you don't want to be thinking about programming. And I consider myself a master programmer, and, you know, I worked at Microsoft, so I kind of have a big head in that regard, of course. When you put on the hat and you want to trade the stock market, you don't really want to be thinking about programming. You want to be concentrating on the strategy. So when I created the system, I made it very simple and very logical. I didn't look out at whatever else was out there. I just knew there wasn't any fully automated traders out there, so I wanted to create it from scratch. And what's the first thing you want to know when you're going to create, you know, if you're thinking about trading stocks? I mean, things like, how many shares am I going to trade? How much money do I have to invest? And how many open positions do I want? And do I want to add to my positions? That kind of stuff. So when I created the system, I put that on tab 1. Let's answer the basic questions. What times of day am I going to open positions, and what times of day do I want to close positions? And then after you get through the simple stuff, you move to the next step and you say, you know, there's over 8,000 stocks in the market. Do I really want to trade all 8,000? I mean, obviously I can't do that. So I created what's called the watch list tab, where you talk about how am I going to filter these stocks down. Maybe I only want to trade stocks that are actually profitable. So I want, what's the word, liabilities, assets, greater than liabilities. That's not a hard thing to do. So you just point and click. I want assets, click, greater than, click, liabilities, click, add rule. And that reduces your list of, reduce them. You keep adding more things, like simple things like I want the average volume to be greater than 10 million shares a day. Not a hard thing. And then when you add that rule, instantly your list gets smaller and smaller and smaller. I don't, you know, Apple's a great company, but I don't really want to trade Apple. I don't want to trade a $500 or $600 stock. So then you just add a simple rule. Yesterday's close price greater than or less than, say, $30 even. And that'll reduce your list down even further until you have that list, that 8,000 symbols list, all the way down to just a few stocks. And since then, you know, you can even click one button and say, I only want to trade the stocks on the Dow 30, the 30 stocks on the Dow. And that's one click of a button. You don't even have to create any rules for that. And you already got it down to 30 stocks. And then with those other rules in there, you reduce it to the, you know, of the 30 stocks, I only want the 30 stocks on the Dow. I only want to trade the stocks that have that kind of volume and are under $30. So you reduce it down to just really, you don't really need to trade a lot of stocks. I learned that, a long time ago. So you don't need 50, 60, 70 stocks. You only really need a few stocks, and as they go up and down, you take money, because that's what the stock market's all about, is taking money. But, I think I've jumped a little bit ahead. What I want to talk about is, let's just go back a little bit and talk about my history. What Nick and Carrie said about me, as far as my history, is pretty darn accurate. I worked at Microsoft until 1995, and I retired. And I thought life was just about money, of course, like all the rest of us. And then I was retired for 5 years. I was ready to pull my hair out. What do you do when you're retired? I didn't realize you can't retire at 39 years old. You got to be out of your mind. I mean, you can only do so much. You can only go jogging so much. Seriously, So when the market crashed, I was reborn. I mean, I really was reborn, because now I have a project to do. But one of the things, though, that what those guys said about when the market crashed, what I saw was the stocks are, they went down, so I'm like everyone else. And if I talked to my broker, they said, well, don't worry, it'll come back. So and of course you're all in at the top. So when it goes down, you have no money to buy anything. Even in the last crash, Warren Buffett bought the railroads for pennies on the dollar. Sure, you have to have money left, but if you're all in at the top. When that market goes down, you're getting margin calls. So you're not buying, you're selling. So, but I was like everyone else, and I thought the market went down because everyone was selling. But then I was in about probably November of 2000, I was in a gas station. Out here in Arizona, there's a gas station called Danny's Family Car Wash. Shout out to Danny's Family Car Wash. How was that for free advertising? So, but I was, you put your car in on one side, and then you go and stand on the other side, and you talk to people while you wait for your car. And I was talking to a couple older gentlemen, and, just making small talk. I said, so, how bad did you get hammered in the crash? I just thought it was small talk. And they got very intense, and they're like, hey, I lost 85%. And I'm like, no way. I mean, you didn't sell while it was going down at all? Because once Microsoft hit 50% down, once my wealth dropped 50%, I started dumping. It's like, I don't know what's going on here, but I can't watch it go to zero. So I was baffled when he said he lost 85%. And he goes, I rode it all the way to the bottom. And there was another gentleman standing there that really wasn't part of our conversation, but of course I talked loudly, and people heard. And he looked over, and he gave me a nod, and he goes, I rode it all the way down too. And I'm like, really? See, you didn't sell, and you didn't sell, and I pretty much didn't sell until it was at least down 50%. So I went home, and that started getting my mind spinning. So I went home and I called everyone I knew, and I said, did you sell while the market was crashing? And every single person said the same thing. I didn't sell, and a lot of them said I was buying more while it was going down. And that's when it hit me, man. The institutional computers, they've been running computers against the public for years, probably since the 80s, and I wouldn't doubt it even before that. And so that ticked me off, and I said, all right, baby, you picked on the wrong guy, because I'm bored, and I'm gonna level the playing field here. So, but what did I really know about the stock market? Probably not a lot, much more than anybody. I still, at that point in time, was still disillusioned about what do brokers know.